All right, everybody. For those of you who don't know, my name is Michael Forrest, and welcome to It's Go Time. Now, before we get going, I'm going to ask all of you if you can, not send me any text messages during my performance, because listen, when you're moving around up here and, somebody sends you a text, right? It's like all of a sudden this big wall of text hits you, and it can really throw you off. It can really distract you a lot. So if you're going to do anything like that, please save it till the end, and I'd really appreciate that. Also, if you can stay off this stage area here, this way nobody blocks this big display behind me, right? And gives me a little bit of room to do the whole hosting thing, right? Also, you may notice at the very top of your menu wheel is a microphone icon that kind of looks like, let's see, oh, the slide didn't change. That's weird. All right, there we go. It's changed now. All right, but it kind of looks like this here, right? And now, when that is clear, that means we can hear everything that's happening in your environment, right? So I've gone ahead and I've turned that to red, and this means that you're muted. Now, if somebody comes in your space and says, hey, are you still on that thing? Feel free to answer them, because we're not going to hear any of that. Right. Likewise, if maybe you've got a barking dog in the background, you're not going to face social ruin at Altspace by becoming known as the avatar that suddenly started barking during, it's go time. I'm getting a text message that says I'm choppy. Is my voice choppy to anybody? It does. Okay. Well, this has been happening in Altspace a lot. Let me just, that's less than professional here, but let me see if I can just re-enter the space, if I can fix that. Hang on there. Okay, everybody, that should clear things up. Oh, wow, what's going on here? A lot of people. Oh, wow, here to see Michael Forrest. I've heard things about that guy. Heard he's really good at this. Yeah, really good. All right, cool. Oh, yeah, that's me. All right, back on the stage here. But yeah, you're going to notice that you have at the top of your microphone icon there. When that's red, you mute it. Just because you mute it doesn't mean you can't express yourself, right? You're going to notice that, you have this pink cheek smiley face emoji button right there. And when you press it, your emoji panel is going to open up in the air in front of you as if by magic. And if I share something really deep and powerful and meaningful and it starts to build up inside you, you can just let it out, let it flow, show the love, people, right? Now, maybe backstage, I got some dancers, right? And they come on out here and we go break into It's Go Time, the musical. Maybe there's ninjas dropping down from the rafters and you're like, wow, that really put a lot of value in the whole production, right? And you're very impressed. And throughout the applause I live for, I can take a moment to drink it all in because it feels good. Very awesome. Now, also, if I ask you guys a yes or no question, you could say yes by smiling like this. You could say no by frowning like this. And maybe I say something funny, right? So you can throw up this silly face emoji here to indicate that you're laughing, right? And also, you're going to notice there's this. This is by far the most distracting of all the emojis. When you do this, all right, it's a good way to let me know something's gone wrong. This isn't how you ask a question or make a comment. We'll be taking questions and comments at the end of the event. But during the event, if you pop in your hand like that, it tells me something's wrong. Like just now, my voice was choppy. That's a really great way to let me know that, right? And that's part of our agreement. That's our sacred bond between me and you, the audience. Now, you're going to notice that there's an X in the middle of the emoji panel, and when you press on it, your emoji panel will disappear. But it's a good idea to leave it open during events like this, because it gives me some feedback, lets me know how I'm doing, and I understand I'm choppy again. I just got a message saying I'm choppy again. Is this true? Wow, okay, this is super annoying. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to try to fix this again. I'm going to try to come back in, but this is really throwing me off here. Just 1 second, everybody. I'll be right back. All right, somebody get my agent on the phone. I can't work like this. Thank you, Morgan. I can't work like this. Get my agent on the phone. Altspace, this is ridiculous. Do I sound clearer now? Is my voice clearer now? Okay, well, you guys get the idea how to use that emoji panel, right? You guys obviously are throwing up those emojis, so you got a handle on this. All right, cool, good. All right, now, Go Time is an event for Oculus Go users, but all are welcome. So if you're on a device, feel free to hang out. You may pick up some useful information that helps the Go users in Altspace, because there are a lot of them. All right, and still more coming in each and every day, believe it or not. And so we're gonna get into it. And what we're gonna talk about today is, because listen, when I first came into Altspace, it was on an Oculus Go, right? And I couldn't wait for this thing to arrive. All right, now I gotta actually get my pointer out here because I need that for this bit. But because when you re-enter the space, they should do the pointer where it is, I think. But that's what they do. Okay, cool. All right. But yeah, so when I first came into Altspace, I couldn't wait to get this thing on. Now I've been in bed for about going on 2 years now due to a health condition, right? And so coming into Altspace, to me, it meant like more mobility and stuff, right? So I couldn't wait to get in here. And when I first got that headset on, I'd been reading about Altspace for a while, and this was my first stop. And I came out of the load screen for the very first time, and the first thing I did was I looked up at the sky, and it looked a lot like what I remember a real sky looking like. And I was really grateful for this. I was so grateful that I started moderating events, I started helping out, I started volunteering that first day. And you know what? I found that I had a lot of performance problems on the Oculus Go. I found that my battery wouldn't make it through entire events, so I'd have to charge up. I'd have to come back into Altspace, and I have to find the event host and explain why I flaked out. So I got off to kind of a rough start. But I started asking questions on how could I improve my experience. And the answers I got to those questions, you know what happened was I used those answers to make this event so that I could help other Go users have a better experience in Altspace. All right. And, but when I was asking those questions, I heard a lot of things. I heard, for example, that I wouldn't be able to use this laser pointer on an Oculus Go. And you know what? That turned out to not be true. These slides behind me here, right? I was told that I wouldn't be able to use slides at all on an Oculus Go. And that also turned out to not be true. And I was told that despite having a background presenting material like this in the real world, I was told that, that my device wasn't reliable enough for me to host events. Not only did that turn out to not be true, but I went on to host over 300 events in Altspace, and more than half of them were done on an Oculus Go. And I like to think I did a pretty good job, right? And you can too. All you have to do is just make a few small changes to your device, and these changes will actually make your device perform a lot better, a lot more reliably, and you're going to have a much better experience in Altspace if you do some of the things we're going to talk about here today. All right. Now, the things that you can do, right, you can follow two paths. You can start with the device you already have on your head. So before you even leave here today, you're going to learn some stuff that's going to make your device perform better in Altspace. But you can also upgrade your experience to exceed the limitations of your device. And I say it that way because, listen, those of you that have been here before, I can't stand this term. You'll see it all over the Discord where people will say weaker device, inferior device. And I can't stand language like that because you guys paid good money to get this headset. And the truth of it is it's a wonderful introduction to VR. It's a great start. All right. Like if I'm on a Quest now, but if I had started out on the Quest, I don't think I would have stayed. Because on an Oculus Go, I didn't have to worry about the vertical height. I didn't have to worry about the complexity of two controllers. It allowed me to get used to VR at my own pace. And in that, I think it's a fantastic device. And I feel about it the way most people feel about their first car, right? And if you hear this term a lot, just try to remember, right, that there's another term that gets thrown around Altspace an awful lot, and that's communities. There's a lot of rich and diverse communities represented in Altspace. And the important part of that equation is you, not what kind of headset you're wearing. Right. So remember, you're not your headset any more than you are your house or your car. And I find that it pays to, when you hear terms like that, to just remember that. OK, now let's start out with the device you already have on your head. Right now, you may not know this, but your device loses power even when it's not in use. So if you put the device down on a table with it has 100%, by morning, it's going to have a much lower percentage. And now if you come into Altspace with, say, 20% power, you're going to notice that your screen flickers around a lot and it's not going to perform as well as it could. So what you're going to have to do is use advanced planning. Like if you go to altvr.com and you get the event schedule and you see, oh, look, Go Time's coming up tonight. I've heard things about the host. I've heard he's got this hair and he's got this jacket that you're starting to see everywhere, right? You want to go to it. So what you want to do is you want to plug in your device about an hour before the event starts. This way, when you come into Altspace, you'll have 100% power, right? That can help a lot with that. And the reason it loses power so much is because it's always checking for app updates. It's always checking for firmware updates. Maybe your headset has pen pal on the other side of the world. Maybe your headset has a secret life you don't know anything about, and that can be devastating, right? So you want to stay ahead of that and charge that device up before you come in. All right. Also, you're going to notice when you first put your headset on, right, that power button that you first press, and I want you to make this a habit, right? Every time you put your device on your head, the first thing you want to do when you get to the Oculus home screen is press and hold that middle power button. And when you do, hold it down for about 4 seconds, and you're going to see these 3 buttons appear in the air in front of you. That middle button will be a restart button. And when you press it, it's going to clear out all the temporary files of, the downloads that it was working on, and it's going to, I like to think of it as clearing my mind. You clear your mind out before you come into Altspace. And when you step into that load screen, when you come out, you may have noticed what an important role body language plays in Altspace. All right. We saw some of that at the beginning when I was talking to Freddie over here, because his microphone's not working, but we used body language to communicate with each other. All right. And I got the idea of what he was trying to say. Like he told me to come down off the stage so he could text me. Right. Or if, for example, maybe you're in an event like this and a moderator comes up to you, maybe you're being super distracting and you don't realize it. A moderator comes up to you and they shake their head back and forth like this. And that means don't do that thing. Right. Or maybe I'm up on the stage and you see me go like this. Somebody makes it up on the stage and I'm going like this. That means get off my stage. Right. But what can happen on an Oculus Go is sometimes your real world hand might be here, but your avatar's hand might be way up here. And when that happens, if you do something like wave somebody off the stage, like instead of going like this, what's going to happen is my avatar is going to be going like this, and it's going to look like I'm saying, "Hey, everybody, welcome to Go Time." And I'm not saying that. I'm saying, "Get off my stage. It's a dangerous place." No, we don't want to see anybody get hurt. I'm a trained professional up here. All right. So, what can you do if that happens? Well, you're going to find on your controller, right? You have your trackpad, and below that you have 2 buttons. That very bottom button, don't push it now. Because if you push it now, you're going to disappear, and I'm going to feel it. You got to think of this like an eject button, right? And when you press it, you're going to get a choice to quit or resume. So you can press resume if you've done this by accident, and it'll bring you right back into Altspace like you never left, right? And you can press quit to close the app. It's the best way to out of Altspace, and think of it like an eject button. But this eject button does something else. If you look straight ahead and you bend your elbow, right, and pull your hand in like this and keep your hand at your side, and you press and hold that button, all right, look straight ahead when you're doing this. You press and hold that bottom button. You're going to see a white circle spin in the air, right? And after about 3 seconds it takes. And then you're going to see your hand snap into place. And when it does, take a good look at your hand and ask yourself, is this where my hand is in the real world? Now, if it is, right, then you're good. If it's not, just do this again until you feel comfortable, and only you can determine what feels comfortable for you, okay? That'll help with that a lot. Now, in the beginning, we talked about that menu wheel in the lower left, that collection of circles there. You're going to notice that every so often in Altspace, this menu wheel, it moves, right? Sometimes it'll move in front of you, make you feel a little off balance. Sometimes it can move behind you. You don't even know where it is. And somebody's like, open your main menu. And you're like, where is it? I don't know. Where did it go? I can't find this thing. All right. Listen, it's important to remember that you have the main menu in your hands at all times on an Oculus Go. On your controller, you have your trackpad, and then you have a button just below that. That middle button there, that's actually your main menu button. You don't have to press this blue and white triangle button ever again if you don't want to. Right? You can just, press it like that and it'll be open. But if you press it and then look straight ahead and press it again, the menu will then close. And when it closes, you're going to find that your menu wheel is right back where it's supposed to be, giving you access to your emoji wheel and your personal space bubble and the ability to take a picture. And now we can, got those selfies and, we can take forward-facing pictures now. And you have all those options available to you just by opening and closing that menu by using it on your controller. And that'll take care of that if that happens. All right. Now, another thing to keep in mind is, listen, the first piece of advice I got to make my device perform better was somebody told me to turn down my brightness, and it was a great piece of advice, but I did not want to do it. I want to have the best graphic experience I could possibly have in Altspace, and to me, that meant having my brightness turned way up to retina burning levels. I mean, it was painful, man, but my graphics were awesome, or so I thought. Right? What I did was every time I came into Altspace, I'd go to my Oculus main menu, and down on the right side, it would say settings. I'd press on that, and then right in the middle there, it was me an area for brightness, and I turned auto brightness off. And there was this blue bar there where I could adjust it manually. And every time I came into Altspace, I would turn it down a little bit more and a little bit more until finally the brightness was completely off. And I came into Altspace and I couldn't believe what I saw, right? I went into an event where I would help out, and there was this tree off in the corner where all the moderators gathered before the event. And as soon as I got into the world, I walked over there and I couldn't believe it. That tree, it looked more realistic than I'd ever seen it before. I mean, it looked amazing. All right, so if you turn your brightness all the way off, your graphics are going to be better, your device is going to perform better, but most importantly, your battery is going to last longer. There's no reason not to do this. If you're coming from like 75% brightness, it may take a few minutes to get used to it, but it is a much better experience. I can't recommend you doing that enough. All right, now, around this time, like I started lasting longer in events, I found people hung out after events, and I started to hear people were saying, I sort of got an impression of why, Go users can get kind of a bad reputation in Altspace. All right, and the reason for this is because the microphone on the Oculus Go is very powerful. All right, and as such, when the sound comes out of your ear straps, it gets picked up by your microphone and projected out through your avatar into Altspace. And what this does is it can create something weird, right? Like, because I mean, listen, I didn't know what I sounded like in Altspace. I've been performing for like close to a year in here, and I didn't know what I sounded like in here until we got our YouTube channel. All right, if you notice, you've got Raven Eye floating up in the air behind you. That's recording this event and going out on YouTube. So if you want to feel Altspace famous, turn around and wave out and be like, "Hey, YouTube, how's it going? How you doing today?" We got a lot of people in here. We got nobody 1232. We got Freddie over here. We also got let's see, Emelino VR. We've also got Heat Guy Jay. Right, all these people in here. Come on into Altspace. I think you'll really enjoy it. All right. Now, so around this time I became aware, right? Now, like if you're standing in a campfire, right? And I'm talking to TNT here, right? And when I'm talking to TNT, I'm like, "Hey, TNT, do you hear that thing about Emiliano, right? VR, right? You heard the thing, right?" Well, what happens is, you're walking over, and all of a sudden I hear this voice, right? And I'm like, "Well, that guy sounds like he'll be a very talented presenter." Because what's happening is, all right, I'm hearing my voice coming out of your avatar, all right? And it actually it's because of the sound delay, it actually sounds like you're copying me, all right? And it sounds like it can really throw you off. It makes it hard to talk to. it turns out it's really easy to manage this. This is happening to you. And you can tell because people come up to you and they'd be like, "Are you want to go? Are you want to go?" And when they do that, it's kind of off-putting, right? It can make you feel like a little bit, like just like, I'm brand new here and you're already asking me what device I'm on, right? What you want to do if this happens to you is you're going to notice on your headset on the top left, you've got two buttons, right? The leftmost button is the volume down button, and just next to that's the volume up button. And when you press either of them, you'll see these vertical bars appear in the air. Right now, what you're going for is you're going to want some will be solid and some will be clear. Right. What you're going for is you want 4 clear bars on the right side. This way, your volume is 4 ticks away from the maximum. Right now, when that happens, your voice is going to be at such a level where it won't be as the sounds coming out of the ear straps won't be picked up by the microphone as easily. But this comes at a price. Right. You're occasionally going to have to strain to hear people a little bit more. All right. And when that happens, all you have to do is remember you still have one good hand in the real world and you can use it. All right. Take that left hand right now and hold it up to your ear, kind of cup it right there. And when you do that, you're going to notice that the sound of my voice goes up. It increases, right? And when the voice goes up like that, it's a good way to manage it. But, the best thing to do is add in a pair of headphones, right? Or maybe an inexpensive pair of earbuds. That's what I did. And it changes the experience completely because it makes sure that the only sound coming out of your avatar is your own, right? And, occasionally you'll still hear a family member come in and say, "Hey, are you still on that thing?" And the best way to solve that is get them a headset of their own, bring them into VR and show them what's so great about it. It's really cool when you see somebody in VR and you can recognize their body language and stuff. It's a really neat experience. I can't recommend doing that enough. All right. But yeah, that'll really change that experience. And when I got my earbuds, I started thinking, what else could I add to my device that would improve the experience, right? And I came up with what I call a Go Plus experience. Now, I call it this because, listen, I would go into areas that, were heavy on performance, right? And I'd see other Go users, they disappear as their devices would crash, but I would remain. My device became super reliable after I did the things I'm about to talk about, right? And in order to talk about this stuff, I got to discuss these products on the wall behind me, right? And I just want to say before I do that these are not the only products that work. These are the ones that I use that I feel comfortable recommending, all right? But it's the ideas behind these products that matter the most. All right. And the temptation is going to be to write this stuff down. Don't worry about that. We made this super easy to find. If you go to altvr.com and in the upper left, you click on where it says channels, you're going to see all these Altspace event channels, a lot of great ones listed out there. And down toward the bottom, not that that means anything, you're going to see an area called Ravenhall Events, right? Like it's up on that sound booth up there. Now, when you click on this, you get taken to our event channel. And on that event channel, on the left-hand side of the page, you're going to see all these products listed out. So you'll be able to try them. You don't have to write them down. You also see a join Discord button. And when you press the join Discord button, you can say hello, and, see how we're doing, and if you have any questions, we can take them there. This is pretty cool. You're also going to see the most important button on the internet, subscribe button. And when you press that subscribe button, right, it lets Altspace know that you enjoy our content. And listen, we don't get paid to do this. So every time we see that number go up, man, it just makes us feel real good. We enjoy that a lot. We also feel even better when, people subscribe to us on YouTube. And speaking of, listen, if you're watching on YouTube and you want to try any of these products out, just the links will be in the description below, okay? Now, what these products are and what they do, at the very top here, you have the Anker Power Core battery pack. Not easy to say, but easy to use. Oculus doesn't recommend us using our devices while they're plugged in, right? But they do say it's okay to use a external battery pack, right? And that's what this does, and it makes it last like a lot longer, right? And I figured this would solve my power issue. But around the time I got it, I'd heard people were having problems charging their devices. I don't know if you ever noticed this, but when you plug in your device, the port, it's like kind of tight, right? The wire's kind of tight, and all the wear and tear, it can loosen the connection so that it won't charge as effectively over time. Right? That's where this MagSafe cable, this middle product comes in. One tip goes into your headset. Then the USB cable goes into the USB port on the external battery, right? And it's held in place by a magnetic connector, which turns out is a great safety feature. You'll find when, like you turn your head while you're in VR and the wire pops off because it's just a magnet, right? When it pulls on it, it's not going to pull your headset down and turn your world upside down and make you uncomfortable, right? It'll just pop right off. You don't even got to come out of VR to fix it. You can just pick the cable up to the side of the headset and it'll snap it into place. And if your microphone's open, it'll make this like thunk sound and your friend's going to be like, "What was that?" And you're going to be like, "That's pure power. That's what that was," right? And, you don't have to say it was pure power. I mean, that's not going to make it work any differently. But, it was just something I like to do. And if you, want to, you feel free to use that. Right. And this solved my power problem. Right. But around this time, I started having an issue with overheating. And if you guys ever overheat, throw your hand around or, show me some emojis if you guys experience overheating on the Oculus Go at all, because it's a really common problem. It happens a lot. All right. Now I'm seeing a few people. Okay, cool. Well, what can happen is if you're overheating a lot, what you want to do, right, is I've heard some people say they use ice packs, right, or like frozen peas. Don't do this, man, because you know what'll happen, right? You've got condensation that happens when you do that. Right. I don't know about you guys, but water and electricity on your face is probably not a good idea. And the people I know who did this, they went through more than one headset. All right, so I don't recommend doing this, but what I do recommend doing is getting one of these AC Infinity USB mini fans. They're really small. They fit in the palm of your hand, right? And they're whisper quiet, right? And what you want to do is you listen, the Oculus faceplate that's supposed to control the temperature, it's installed by hand. So some people experience different things when they use it. Like some people will overheat every 20 minutes. Some people overheat every half hour. Some people, lucky few, never overheat at all. And I knew one person during the first go time that we ever had. We had somebody come in, right, and they said that the headset had become pushed in from it melting, and they said they overheated every 2 minutes. All right. And, this is something I was worried about. We're going to solve it. So this mini fan here, right, what you can do is you'll attach this to your face with the silver part facing the faceplate. And then you're going to hold it in place with maybe some string or some hair bands or something like that, and the hair bands like wrap around from the ear straps. They wrap around those round rubber feet there on the fan itself. And the first time I tested this, I went into the meditation event in Altspace. So I don't know if you guys have ever been there, but you're going to find that it's a really great space. It's on top of a mountain. There's like fog and there's sunlight coming down through the fog and there's all the smoke coming out through the bowls. It's a really great experience. But for some reason, I would always overheat exactly 20 minutes into the experience. So when I got my fan, this was going to be a great place to test it. So I went in early as a moderator, right? And I walked up to the host, Jeremy, really nice guy. And I asked him, I said, can you hear my fan at all? And he says, no, not at all. It's whisper quiet. And I said, oh, that's great. So I turned it up to medium, right? And he goes, oh, I can hear that a little bit, but it's not that bad. So I turned it up to full blast, right? Maximum. And you know what he did? Before I could even ask, he goes, you sound like you're in a wind tunnel. You're going to want to turn that down, right? So what I did was I turned the fan all the way down, right? And spoiler alert, I never had to turn it up again, right? What I did was, I went through the event and 20 minutes came and 20 minutes went. I didn't overheat at all, right? So the event finally finished and I hadn't overheated. So I went to another event, right? 2 events in a row. I didn't overheat once, right? And then I went to another event, 3 events, didn't overheat at all, right? Then I went back to my home space. I hung out with my friends, right? And then after a while, I found something happened for the very first time. I left Altspace because I wanted to, all right? I was tired, right? So I left Altspace by choice. I didn't leave because I was overheating. I didn't leave because I'd ran out of battery power. I left because I actually wanted to, and that had never happened before, right? And it wouldn't be for the last time, right? All of a sudden, after that, I became super active in Altspace. I started moderating events. I started hosting events. I was everywhere, right? And you can be too. All you got to do is make a few small changes to your device. Listen, none of this stuff's very expensive. You have this USB mini fan here. This is about $10 or $11 US. This MagSafe cable in the middle there, that's about $7 US. The most expensive thing up there is the battery pack. That costs about $30 US. But listen, it comes in different sizes and capacities, even different colors. And if you, if you're not going to be in VR for because that thing lasts 15 hours, right? If you want to, really kind of condense it to maybe you're only in here for a few hours and you get by with a smaller battery, save some money, right? All right, now, when I did that, my device became super reliable, but there were still some problems, all right? And the first one, I'm going to talk about some movement issues, all right? You're going to find that sometimes in Altspace, when you go to turn left, you go straight, and you're like, that's weird. Or if you go to turn right, and then you go straight again, and you're like, well, that's also weird. And then you move down and press down on the controller, and you move straight again, and you're like, that's strange. So you start bashing buttons. No matter what you do, you keep going straight, and the next thing you know, you're standing inside of an admin. All right, there's nothing more frightening than standing inside of an admin. When you're in there, you see things about the past, the future, things about user development, user accounting. It's really complicated. It's complex. This kind of stuff keeps me up at night, right? But listen, what I can talk about here is how to fix this. What happens to you, all right? What you're going to find is on your controller, you've got your trackpad, and on that trackpad, right, what you can do is move your thumb, swipe your thumb gently without pushing down. Don't push down on it. Just gently swipe your thumb from right to left or from left to right. The direction doesn't matter. But when you get on the other side, lift your thumb up in the air, cross over to the other side, and when you come down, very gently swipe your thumb across it again. And you're going to want to do this 2 or 3 times, and you're going to want to make this a reflex, so that if you find yourself moving in ways you don't want to, like if you go to turn, if you go to turn left and you end up going forward, right, on reflex, just go swipe, 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 right, and then come down in a direction that you want to go, and that should take care of that, all right? Another thing you're going to notice every now and then is your screen is going to go dark. All right, and the reason this happens is because, and it doesn't happen just to Go users, it happens also on any mobile device. And the reason it happens is because everything you see in this space, it takes up memory. All right, that poster of shrub we have in the corner, these pictures up here, all the avatars, me, the stage, the rug you guys are standing on, all this stuff takes up memory. And when that memory runs out, your screen goes dark. But if your microphone is open, your friends can still hear you. So all you have to say is, I'll be right back. Now, the best way to really address this is getting ahead of it before it happens. Like, let's say you've just been to 3 Worlds and your friend says, let's go to the campfire. And you want to go, right? So what you're going to want to do, right, is you're just going to, when that happens, is you're just going to say, I'll catch up with you in a minute. And then all you have to do, right, is press on that bottom button on your controller, that eject button, right? Then you're just going to press quit to close the app, and you reopen the app, and then you go meet your friend, right? And this is a way of getting ahead of it before it happens. Hey, Almighty Rocket, I see you're waving. How you doing? Nice to see you. You're looking kind of pink today, I got to say. All right, so let's see. I see you waving there. All right, another thing that's going to happen every so often is you're going to lose your controller when you first put your headset on. You'll get a message that says can't find controller. Right now, now this could be you need to replace the battery in your controller, but you put a fresh battery in it last night, right? That's maybe for some reason or another your controller stopped talking to your headset. Maybe the controller found out about your headset's secret life and they're no longer speaking, right? What do? All you have to do is remember two words: double down. Now those two bottoms on your controller, those two buttons on your controller on the bottom there. If you press and hold that for about 4 seconds or so, right, a little white light's going to appear on your trackpad. Now, when that happens, you're not going to see it if you have a headset on. You don't need to, because what you will see is when you lift your thumb back up, you're going to have your hand back, right? And then you'll go into the into that load screen there. You're standing on top of that hill in the mountains, breathing all that crisp load screen air, and you're going to be like, man, I am glad I went to go time. Then Michael Forrest, he knew what he was talking about. He told me to double down, and now I got to be on time for my event. So if that happens to you, you're welcome. All right, cool. Now, running a little bit short on time today. Now, I have some building tips that I usually give out. You guys want those building tips? Show me up some hearts either way, and then if not, we'll go over to the questions. All right? Hang on up there. Anybody want to see those building tips at all? All right, cool. Well, we're going to go on to see one heart. Okay, cool. All right, well, you know what we'll do? We'll go through them quickly. All right, let me just grab my pointer here. Now, I used to moderate for an event called Building Worlds, right? And in this event, I'd hear a lot of Go users say that they couldn't build worlds in Altspace, right? On the Oculus Go. They said it was too hard. And I don't understand why people said this, because there's so many world builders that build worlds on Go's, and they've done some amazing work. These devices are capable of remarkable precision. But why did they think this? Well, the reason is when you first get the world builder enabled through your main menu under General, right? What'll happen is when you go in to build your world, you're going to notice when you go to move an object, as soon as you grab it, you're going to notice that object is flipping all over the place, right? And it takes a little while to realize it, but it's actually your head that's controlling the movement, right? I don't know about you guys, but it's really difficult to keep a level head in any reality, let alone a virtual one, right? So what you want to do is if you go into the world editor, and when you open that, you're going to see this panel open up, right? And on this panel, right, on the very bottom, you're going to see a white checkbox that says lock rotation. Now, when you press lock rotation, right, what this is going to do is it's going to make it so that when you grab an object in the world editor, if you squeeze and release the trigger one time, you'll be able to level the object with your hand. And then if you squeeze and release it again, it'll lock it into place. And you can take a look at it and go, that's pretty level. Makes a good mustache. It's pretty level. I like that, right? Now what you can do is if you squeeze and hold the trigger, right, now you can move that object up, down, left, and right. And if you swipe your thumb on the trackpad from left to right, it'll change the size or the scale of the object. If you swipe your thumb up and down, it's going to push that object away, or it's going to bring it closer to you, right? And another thing you can do is hold down that trigger button, and you'll be able to carry that object where you want to put it in the space. So if I go ahead and I put this on the edge of the stage right here, right, just like that, right? Now listen, that's not very good. If that was real life right now, what would happen is that would be on the floor right now, right? So that's not very realistic. But on an Oculus Go, you don't have to get it perfect. You just have to get close enough. And then you go into your world editor, and you find the object on the list. Like you'll notice you've got that laser pointer there on the list. And right next to the laser pointer will be a cogwheel. And you press that cogwheel, and it's going to open up this panel. And on that panel, there'll be numbers for rotation. There'll be numbers for position. There'll be numbers for the scale or the size. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to change these numbers in small increments. So if that, position X says 20, all you're going to want to do here, right, is, when you press enter, maybe you switch it to 19, you'll see that laser pointer jumps over to here, right? And now I know for any time I lower that number on the X value, it's going to move that object closer to that window. That must mean that if I raise the number, it's going to move closer to that wall. That must mean if I change the Z value, it's going to move closer to the snack bar, the screen there. And the Y is always going to be up and down. And then you place another object, and then another one. And then before you know it, right, you've got your very own world to hang out with your friends in, or to, host events in, right? And, it's a lot of fun. It's very rewarding. It's worth checking out. But the building worlds on an Oculus Go is, super easy, and it's really capable of a remarkable precision. But also bear in mind, typing those numbers in, right? A lot of people tell me that that's, a little bit clunky. When you're sending text messages, so that you guys know it's a little bit hard to type those messages out. But you know what? It's a lot like playing a video game, right? When you are playing a video game the first time, all you think about is those controls, right? But after about a week or so, you don't think about the controls anymore. You just think about saving the world, right? You think about crushing your enemies. That's a great way to spend a Wednesday. It really is, all right? So it'll get easier and easier the more you do it. And as a matter of fact, we're going to be heading out to a place called the Ravenhall Flight Academy, where we teach you guys how to fly, right? And when we head on out there, please keep in mind that world was built in less than 2 days on an Oculus Go, all right? So it really is super easy to do it, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys work. Now, got time for a question. We're kind of running a little over because of all the reloadings, but let's see. We're going to put that raise hand button up your lower right as if by magic. That's what magic looks like in VR. If you have a question or comment, you go ahead and press that. And while we wait for that to fill up there, if you guys are on Twitter and you want to find us, you can find us at _ Uncanny Valley. All right. Let's see, Freddie, I see you raised your hand, but I don't know if you actually have a question because your microphone's not working, but I'm going to call on you anyway because you seem like a nice guy. All right. You got your microphone working? No? Okay. Well, I can't call on you then because I don't know what you're saying. You're doing that whole thing like that. So I'm not quite sure what you mean. All right. Let's see. Maybe you can get it to me later and I will try to help you out. All right. I don't see anybody else on the list. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take off the stage blocker here. Right. And what we're going to do is we're going to head out to the Ravenhill Flight Academy. You guys come on up on the stage here, right? And you're going to notice that backstage here we have a blue light. If you guys walk into that blue light, right, we're going to head on out to the academy and and head out that way. All right. So yeah, we'll go over there. We'll teach you guys how to fly if you haven't learned how yet. And we usually have a special effect where a Talon flies down the street, but that's not working for the rest of the week. It's going to be back in early August, so come back and check that out. It's a real cool special effect. But in the meantime, everybody, let's head on out to this blue light. This way, YouTube looks like we're all leaving. See you, YouTube. We're headed out. You want to see where we're going? Come on into Altspace. Bye, YouTube. Check you out. Come on, everybody. Let's go into this blue light here. All right, I'll see you all there. Okay. Here we go, everybody. Catch you all next time. Thanks for coming. You've been a great audience.